What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Sam Dunks, the weekly NBA show over at Slab Stocks. I'm your host, Sam, and I have the distinct privilege to be welcoming on today from the Washington Post, Ben Golliver, who's coming to us from the happiest place on earth, the NBA bubble in Kissimmee, Florida. Ben, is it the happiest place on earth, and how are you doing?
Well, that's what they tell me when I'm begging for soda waters when I want them to ship to my room here on the room service, because I can't leave right now. I checked in on Sunday and they basically have a forced 7-day quarantine because I flew commercial out here and I had not been tested for coronavirus before I got here.
Right.
So, I've just basically been getting a coronavirus test every single day for a week straight. I haven't left my room. The only people I'm talking to are, media members like yourself, doing interviews, or, the testing people who come by every afternoon. And then the hotel staffers that drop the meals at my door. It's a very strange confinement process. I'm holding up. I think I'm 5 for 5 so far on my coronavirus test. So it feels like a winning streak. A couple more, and they will turn me loose. I can start covering practices, covering games, wandering around Disney, and getting a feel for it.
Yeah, I know you're one of only 10 journalists there that were given privilege to come there. So huge congratulations on that. That's a big deal. You're in the bubble on behalf of the Washington Post. I'm not going to be under the delusion that anyone would know who I am and not know who you are. But just in case there's someone out there that's listening that doesn't know who you are, I want to give you just a opportunity to give a shameless plug, brief synopsis of your career up to this point, and then some of your other current ventures going on.
Well, that's dangerous because we could be here all day. But no, I've been writing for the Washington Post for a couple of years now. I started covering basketball about 13 years ago. I've gotten into the podcast game these last couple of years. I have a show with Andrew Sharp called The Greatest of All Talk. People can check that out on greatestofalltalk.com. It's kind of the behind the scenes show. We've been doing podcasts together for years, so we're sort of like brothers, making fun of each other. And we're doing a bunch of inside the bubble shows where I'm kind of giving him the dispatches of what life is really like in here. And I also run a great podcast over at Sports Illustrated called the Open Floor Podcast with Michael Pina, a longtime NBA journalist. We're kind of batting things back and forth as well. So between writing and the podcasting and everything, I'm staying pretty busy.
Yeah, I've been a subscriber to Greatest of All Talk since episode 1. I was listening to you both on Sports Illustrated. I still listen to the Open Floor still, although sometimes Pino with his anti-Giannis takes and pro Rockets and Celtics and all these things that I just can't stand. It just, rubs me the wrong way, but, we live with that. So yeah, go subscribe to Greatest of All Talk. Also, Ben is there on behalf of the Washington Post. I subscribed yesterday. It's only $29 for the entire year at the moment. So if you are watching this show and you appreciate Ben's writing and his podcasting, I would encourage you to go there and subscribe to the Washington Post for the year also. So you arrived on Sunday to the bubble. So does that mean tomorrow you should be getting out?
Well, if I pass my 6th test today, then I'll have to do one more tomorrow. I'll probably get the results back on Sunday morning. So I'm kind of hoping for that Sunday release. Yeah. It's interesting because the scrimmage games are coming up next week. So they timed this thing out so that we would sort of be getting out of our quarantine right when the teams are starting to get back into their scrimmages. Right. And it's funny because who knows how they're going to handle those scrimmages, right? Or a guy like Giannis, who you mentioned, is he going to come out and play 5 minutes? Is he just going to watch the scrimmages from the sideline? How do you manage it if you're the coach? You don't want anybody to get injured. We saw Rajon Rondo right off the bat for the Lakers break his thumb. So there's just, it's very disorienting, discombobulating. And just to underscore that point, we have to do a head count on these players because we don't even necessarily know who all is here. Now, we've seen some social media content come out from the teams where, James Harden arrived. So at least we know James Harden's here. But, it's even difficult as reporters at this point right now to confirm who is and who isn't in the bubble. We understand more than 300 players have been tested in the bubble, but guys could be missing from their teams. And at this moment right now, we would have no idea unless they've announced it. So it's a cat and mouse game from a reporter standpoint.
Yeah, I've been feeling the same thing. If people are asking me how I think it's going to go or who's going to have an advantage, and it's like I don't even know at all who's there. But I'm just I'm 1,000 miles away from the bubble, or usually about 30 miles away. But still, I have no access to any of that stuff. So I'm glad to hear that you're also struggling with that. Not glad, but you know what I mean.
No, we're all in it together. I can see the players walking down, every once in a while on the courtyard below, but I can't talk to them. I can sort of wave at them. They're not going to be able to see me up 4 flights of stairs. So it's a very strange situation. What they've tried to do here, though,
Yeah.
create a bubble within a bubble, right? They want the players as protected as possible, even from potential exposure from media members or staff members. So even once
Okay.
I'm free, they're going to have these little proximity alarms that I have to wear around my neck. If I get too close to players, it's going to start beeping if I stay too long in their vicinity. And they also want to keep the players at their own hotels separate from the media
Yeah.
hotel, kind of for the same reason. So they're taking a lot of steps to keep these guys safe, and I really hope it works.
So cornhole is out of the question.
Yeah, I've never been a big cornhole guy. I like bocce a lot.
Yeah.
You're in Wisconsin. You said that sounds to me a little bit like bocce country. I know
Yeah.
Western Michigan. We used to play a lot of bocce with my grandparents. Get out there on the big lawns. So we'll see what else they have. The walking trails is what's really exciting me right now because
Yep.
I've been just pacing back and forth in my hotel room because I got nothing else to do and I'm trying to burn the calories. So the idea that there's a beautiful walking trail with a man-made lake out there and it's just kind of taunting me right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to first. Before I do anything else, I'm going to get a lot of steps in.
Yeah, certainly a lot of beautiful lakes down there. A lot of heat, a lot of humidity, but burn off the calories that way too. So that's good. You said that you've been seeing players walking by. Do you have access to the snitch hotline? And how many times have you used it?
I haven't used it yet. I'm hoping nobody uses it on me because I feel like I've done so many interviews and I tend to have a voice that projects that I'm probably driving my neighbors here crazy, but what can you do? I'm kind of stuck with to make the best of our situation. In general, I'm not a big informant type of person. I've never called the cops on my neighbors for noises. If anything, I might pound on the wall and tell people to kind of chill out.
Sure.
In college, I wasn't the guy who called the ARA, but it's different here because it's a pandemic, right? So if there's like some busload of 35 people who we know aren't supposed to be here all dressed up to go to some pool party,
right.
I'm going to have to think, real long and hard about that informant line. Maybe have to make a little call to Adam Silver. But I think what's good, though, from a safety standpoint, is that they busted somebody early in Rashawn Holmes going to get his Postmates. It just sets the tone, right? It sets the rules out. Everybody, look, you're here for a reason. You're trying to compete for a title. Don't screw it up for everybody else. And ultimately, our safety is relying upon the weakest link. If people are out there breaking rules, going to get Postmates or trying to leave campus and come back, it puts every single person here at risk. So I hope for vigorous law enforcement on these rules and regulations, but I don't know if I'm going to be participating on the snitch hotline. Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully. So, obviously that is in place for the good reasons. Like you said, if only one person gets it and brings it in. And, we saw this with that whoever the Jazz were playing at that last game of the year. And you think of the Jazz Thunder and how many players they came in contact with, domino effect over the past 3 days. Like obviously that's going to really be accentuated. So really important to have the bubble and have everyone be accountable. How do you foresee this type of situation and layout, really strange, environment that we're playing in right now? How do you foresee this 3-month potential, lockup having, an effect on players? Do you think it's going to be adverse effect on their performance? Do you think it's going to keep them focused, or what do you think that's going to have on their psyche?
Well, there's two factors. First of all, they haven't played basketball in 4 months. So you have the 3 months here that you could be confined, right, on the campus and not kind of able to go about your normal routines, kept away from your family members and players. And, those are serious concerns. I mean, they have medical health professionals here available to reporters, but also to players to kind of deal with that kind of stuff because, it's no joke to, kind of be, isolated from everybody you care about for that long. But also keep in mind from a physical standpoint, they haven't played for 4 months. At least in a 5-on-5 setting. And even guys who have tried to find ways to play, it's not in a formal NBA playoff-like atmosphere. It's certainly different. So they're going to be adjusting all sorts of different ways. It's one of those situations where, sometimes people say like, Jesus, take the wheel. I feel like it's a Jesus, take the wheel kind of moment where it's like, all right, we're in the back seat. We're along for this ride. Let's just kind of see where it goes. Yep. But I think that, having the right mentality individually and team is important. You need to have that leadership, whether it's from your coach like a Doc Rivers or from your star player like LeBron James, just letting everybody know, hey, here's our goal as a unit. We're trying to win a title. We know it's going to be tough. People might say it's an asterisk, but we don't look at it that way. We still view this as a valid championship that we're trying to chase, and we want to outlast everybody else. If you have that kind of mentality, you're going to be good. If you have the mentality of, hey, I'm just trying to get some Postmates and get out of here, you're going to be going home pretty quick. And I think that it's going to be a situation where the the cream rises, right? I think the cream's going to rise pretty quick here.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about the asterisk. And I'm a big Bucks fan from Milwaukee, and been a Bucks fan all my life. And most of that time has been really painful. I remember in 2003, I was in school and we were making puppets, and we were supposed to be making animal puppets. And I made a TJ Ford puppet. We just drafted him, and I thought, he's by far going to be the best player out of that draft class. Obviously,
future All-Star.
Yeah, future All-Star. I thought 12th time, but no, that didn't happen. But now having Giannis on the team is just kind of surreal as a Bucks fan to see the NBA really kind of focused in on Milwaukee, and it's Milwaukee and Los Angeles, which is just kind of crazy to think of. And so if the Bucks win, it's like, I don't want any asterisk talk. I know there's going to be some salty fans, and there's definitely going to be talk about it. But personally, I'm going to be extremely happy to have any sort of accolades at all for my favorite team.
Well, I call the LA versus Milwaukee thing, I call that Schlitz versus Glitz. Okay, so that's how we break that one down. Yep. Here's one way to look at it. Miami's first title with the Heatles in 2012, there was a little bit of bubbling asterisk talk because it was a lockout season.
Right.
When they came back and won the next year, first of all, it was a crazy Ray Allen shot. I mean, just a ridiculous finals victory. And they should not have won that series, by the way. It still kills me. But they did it. And that second title, not only was it one of the most memorable we've ever seen, but it also validated the first title, and it made that first one almost more sweet because now no one could say anything. It wasn't about a lockout. It was just because they were the best team. So what I'm trying to pitch to you is a beautiful vision here where if Milwaukee wins the 2020 title and you have to suffer through all these haters saying, oh, it doesn't really count, they double back and win it again in 2021 with Giannis, a two-time finals MVP, just like the Heat. Now you're sitting back saying, okay, America, now what? What are you going to say? So, that very rosy future is something that we have to talk about with Giannis because he's on track to be the best player in basketball. I mean, he's right in the middle of his prime. He's putting up in crazy stats. As long as Budenholzer doesn't hold him back during the playoffs, I'm expecting huge things from him. And even if he does, I'm expecting huge things from him because that's just Giannis.
Right. All he needs is, 29 minutes, and he's putting up just some amazing stats. So, yeah, I'm hoping for the same things. I like the vision you've laid out for me. To get into some card stuff here, here at Slab Stocks, we focus on the card market, specifically focusing on the investment side of things. With any collectible, there is some investment, opportunities and money to be made. We really try to just focus on the actual action in the market rather than, affecting it in any way. But two-part question here, Ben. First of all, have you ever collected sports cards? And second, are you aware of the insane renaissance that the card market's been experiencing recently?
For sure. So I started collecting cards probably like 89, 90 was sort of my first, entry into it. I was like 6 years old at the time.
Yep.
I mean, all my allowance for like 5 straight years went to basketball cards. And unfortunately, I was right in that time period where the mass production was going crazy. So I got so many Skybox cards from like 91, 92. And I mean, that whole little run, I love Skybox. And I actually recently, you're talking about the Renaissance factor, I actually did a home art project where I took like 12 of my favorite Skybox cards from the gold set. Mm-hmm. And then they had that crazy like white background kind of neon set the following year, right? Yep. So I did almost like a poster of my favorite cards from each one of those sets, kind of lined them up and framed it. And I had that hanging in my apartment for a while. They were cool. I mean, everybody would come over. It was always a talking piece. People like, wow, what's this? Some people would remember the Skybox kind of fondly like I did. And so it's kind of nice to bond over that. Mm-hmm. But for me, from the investment side, I'm not sure I have like tons of super valuable cards. I've got hundreds of Jordans that I like meticulously save. Yep. I've got a couple like weird baseball ones that, Birmingham Barons cards. I think some of my most valuable cards I like stumbled into accidentally. I have a Kobe and a Tim Duncan rookie cards. I guess it was like the very tail end of my collecting run from like 89 to like 96, 97, that range. And I didn't even remember that I had them. And I found them, looked up the prices, maybe like a year ago. And I was like, wow, these are actually like kind of worth something. So, from that standpoint, I love that there's a renaissance. The exclusivity factor in some of these auctions that are going on are just crazy. Mm-hmm. I can imagine myself, though, as the 6-year-old kid who's like trying to get that Zion like jersey swatch card and going to the store every single day, like trying to get it. Like those kinds of things would have completely appealed to me as a child. Yep. So I'm a little jealous, I think, of this year's generation or this generation's opportunities. But no, I mean, I still have my cards. I brought them out for the Last Dance. I lined up all my Jordan cards, took
I saw
photos
your
of them.
post. Yeah.
Yeah, because those are just good memories, man. Beaverton, Oregon, that was like our connection to the NBA. We didn't have league pass. I was
Right.
only watching maybe, if I was lucky, 15 games a year. So the cards were, how we learned the stats. We didn't have Basketball Reference. I mean, that was how we, reading the back of them, memorizing all those statistics, learning guys' middle names. I mean, all that stuff was just great.
Yep. Yeah. I think my favorite card when I was growing up was I hit like a Dwight Howard rookie card, and I was like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing." I pulled it out of a pack, and I thought that was really big time. No idea where it is now, but yeah, nowadays there's this National Treasures a rookie patch auto of Zion, only 99, and it's going for like $50,000. So I just imagine some kid. I don't know how a kid would get his hand on a National Treasures box, but just hitting one of those because his dad bought him a box, it's just like that's life-changing stuff. So. Just huge renaissance, and it's really exciting to see, and it's pretty cool for slab stocks to be, kind of involved in that and kind of get on the ground floor right as this is all starting to take off. You're going to be, sorry, what?
I was going to say, no, it's crazy. It's a cool thing. I also like just the history aspect of cards too. Yeah. Like even going back, I remember reading about the Honus Wagners and all that stuff. And so you can draw a direct line from those kinds of like legendary cards that I remember reading about like in books, right? I mean, there's like books back in the late 80s about, card collecting. And now you just got this entire community where people are like opening boxes up on, they're breaking boxes on Facebook now and live. And who's going to get the Jordan rookie and all that stuff. I mean, I watch those things. So I'm just like this, I kind of want in sometimes. And I'm just like, all right, try to save the money for a house or something.
I know.
It's funny how that works.
Yep. So you're going to be in Orlando until October 13th at the latest. Draft is held on October 16th, I think. The new season, if we have one, supposed to start on December 1st. So obviously we're talking about just a minuscule offseason compared to normal. Usually rookies have 3 to 4 months to acclimate to their new teams. Now we're looking at like a month and a half tops if they report immediately after the draft. Obviously a really point guard heavy draft coming up here. Point guard is a pretty difficult position to transition into the NBA. How do you foresee this affecting the 2020 rookie class, having only, basically a month to get ready?
Well, I don't want to downplay the importance here, but I do think the NBA should be breathing like a slight sigh of relief that there wasn't a major free agency frenzy this summer, and there wasn't like some crazy Zion level prospect coming out in this year's draft. Like if you had to have a year where things were a little bit thrown off and off kilter and condensed, like this is kind of the year to do it. If this had been like, imagine if LeBron was a free agent this summer, right? Or imagine if Zion or Anthony Davis is coming out in this year's draft. I mean, we would all be like panicking, like, what's this going to mean for their future? Are they going to be delayed? And there's going to be impacts on guys. There's no question. I think that the main message for the NBA right now is focus on Orlando first. Make sure that stays safe, because everything that happens in the offseason or next season is completely reliant upon what happens here. I would not be surprised at all if they have to play games in a bubble again next season, because, it starts in December. Currently, that's the plan. And we're not very far away from December. And you're looking at all these other sports that are fall sports. They're just canceling because they don't have bubbles. They're not able to hold games in front of fans. They're not even able to do practices safely. So we could very easily see all 30 teams trying to do some sort of a bubble tournament type thing for next season if there's no vaccine or something else happening. So the rookies are going to be affected by that. Free agents are going to be affected by that, but it really applies to everybody. And so that's why it's one of those things, like, don't let the cart before the horse here. Like, focus our mental energies on just trying to like get to the opening night, July 30th, and then hopefully getting through the playoffs too. But I do feel for I feel for any kid who like didn't get his senior season in high school or didn't get the payoff in college. Like the NCAA tournament being canceled has got to be devastating for thousands of athletes. I feel so badly for all of them. But for the rising pros, it throws their entire transition up into the air for sure.
So I know we have just about a minute left here. Thinking also about the offseason, I'm getting the cart before the horse here, like you just said. But the 76ers, they're in the bubble there. I said the other day that I think they have a lot of inner strife and don't really like each other. A lot of Sixers in my mentions saying that this is the first time they're hearing of any of this, that they all get along just great and that, they're going to be together long term. Can you back me up? You're in there, you see these things, you see the inner locker room. What's it like? And do you foresee any movement going on this offseason potentially or next season?
Yeah, things are going great. They've just changed GMs multiple times over the last 5 years, had to like flip the roster 4 different times. Jimmy Butler came and left in, the blink of an eye. Things are wonderful. No, I'm laying it on a little thick, but they got major questions, starting with Ben Simmons. What kind of a franchise player gets demoted from point guard to power forward?
Yeah,
I've
just
never
recently.
heard of that really happening ever. I understand why they're trying to do it. They're trying to find more playmaking, ball handling with Shake Milton, and obviously spacing being the top priority. But if I'm Ben Simmons, I'm saying I don't like this plan. I've
Yeah.
been working my way to get back on the court for the last 4 months. Why are you trying to take the ball out of my hands? Why are you sort of de-emphasizing my role? To me, this is a sink or swim situation for Philly. If they don't make a deep playoff run, there's going to have to be major changes, whether that's Brett Brown, whether that's one of the star players getting traded. To me, that's kind of how I look at it. Their payroll is so big. The expectations have been so high. They haven't broken through to the conference finals with this group yet, and the clock is ticking on all of them. And they've got fit questions on the court in addition to some of the personality questions that you're raising. So to me, they're one of the biggest teams to watch. Them and the Houston Rockets are the two organizations that I feel like people are kind of rubbernecking around, trying to say like, how is this going to go for them? Is there going to be an explosion?
Yeah.
And I think it's fair. I think it's warranted based on how they played the last few years.
Last question, just yes or no, just make me feel better. Is Giannis staying?
Ooh, I'm going to say yes. I can't break your heart when you're wearing that
Right.
Giannis t-shirt, man. I'm not going to come on your show and do you like that.
Yep.
Look, the pressure's on them too. They got to make it to the finals. They should make it to the finals. They were so good this year,
Yep.
and he's been ridiculous, and he looks happy. I thought the footage from him leading the marches, talking about his child wanting to grow up in Milwaukee
Yep.
and everything. I mean, that's no small indication in terms of, what he's thinking. You wouldn't do that if you already had kind of one eye, looking out to greener pastures. So I tend to think that the loyalty factor for him matters a lot. He looks comfortable. He looks happy, but he's going to want to win. That's what it all boils down to. I think everybody knows that.
He's a win connoisseur, no doubt about it. All right. Well, thank you so much. I know you're out of time, so really appreciate you coming on, and I'll continue listening.
I appreciate it. Thanks to all the GOATs out there who are listening as well. And we'll talk soon, man.
All right. See ya. All right. Thank you all for listening. It was awesome to get to talk to Ben. He's one of my, absolute, favorite NBA journalists out there. I consume a number of his podcasts, read a lot of his stuff over at the Washington Post. He used to be at Sports Illustrated before that, so I'm sure a lot of you read from him. So a big thanks to him. Please go and subscribe to his podcast or to the Washington Post to support him. And also, while you're at it, make sure that you're subscribed to Slab Stocks on Instagram. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. Also, make sure you navigate over to slabstocks.com/slabstocks. Go down a little bit of the page, enter your name in the little email address bar, get subscribed to our website. In hopefully a month or so, we're going to be unveiling our new website. It's going to have everything that you need as a collector for the investment side, tracking your portfolio, buying, selling, everything else. It's powered by eBay. And best of all, it is absolutely free. So we're really excited to roll it out for you guys, and we'd love to have you on board. So again, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.